reason why I wanted to bring you on, man, Hunter, is because you have a cool ass alien story that
This is true.
I feel like you kind of told me in confidence, and I'm kind of exploiting it.
Yeah,
in a way.
I mean, but like when you're talking about something like that, I'm kind of more skeptical when it comes to stuff like we were saying before when we first talked about this, when it comes to like aliens and supernatural. Like I believe, but at the same time, you don't like, you're not trying to be that crazy guy who's like has an alien story or whatever,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
So that's where I'm like coming from with it.
Well, I know
That's why I never told really
when
many
you
people.
first told me, you were like, listen, I don't tell a whole lot of people this, I think is what you said, or something along those lines.
I think the question everybody listening has right now.
How long you been friends?
No. Were you probed?
No, definitely nothing
Good.
like that.
Good. I'm glad you were not.
Or at least not that
violated.
you know of, right?
So yeah,
So
not that I know of.
Tell us the story from your point of view.
So, like you were kind of saying, you're kind of a skeptic. So, like, this happened to you, but you don't want to put, like, 100% faith in that, like, actually happened. I get that.
So even
Your soul.
even so, like so I was talking about my mom, or I was talking to my mom about it recently too, and like asking her if she kind of recalled like the events, which kind of ties into it. But she kind of has like a same like thing, like she doesn't really remember, like. So
All right,
what it
so we
kinda,
need to hear the story.
Yeah, the story kind of ties in
Oh, yeah.
and explains it more than anything.
Sure.
These fucking sounds. Like,
All right,
goddamn
let's start
love
from
them.
the beginning, Hunter.
So
What year is it? Give us the date. Give us the time.
I was 7 or 8 years old, so that would be, I'm 24 now. That's like 2009 or 2000, something like that. So essentially what happens is it is like early morning, like sun just rising. And what I kind of like, so I'm obviously asleep before this, but at this point I just wake up, but not in a sense of like just like out of my bed or anything like that. It was actually like 300 feet or more like above my house. And I specifically have like this spot in our backyard.
Above your house, like you're floating?
Like
above it?
behind the house, like so in the yard essentially, like where the grass and stuff would be. But like what's crazy about it too, and like what's so like vivid and like I remember everything, like the feeling of it like floating and everything, like as it was like yesterday. But essentially I woke up just looking straight down at my yard, and there's this flower bed in their backyard that's probably about halfway through the whole like area of it from the house, and there's a bed of like lamb's ears, like the soft flower that we have out all the time out there. So I woke up just looking at the ground, but couldn't see my hands or anything else, kind of like almost like locked in place or something like that.
Right. I think it's.
But like super conscious too, like not in a like a, you know how when you have a dream you kind of understand this is a dream in a sense, like you're like, this is odd, like just things are just odd, like nothing seemed like odd out of the place, but like at the same time like I was floating obviously,
right.
like, or what I perceived to be that like above my house looking straight down, just vertical.
I think it's crazy that it's oddly specific that you remember exactly like what kind of plant you were laid back
like
down into.
And like I said, like it feels, whenever I recall it, it's as vivid as like it just happening last night. So it's not like one of those memories where you're just like you kind of remember it or anything like that. Yeah, it's like ingrained into me, but not in like a fear way or anything like that. Just super odd, like almost like I wasn't supposed to like be awake or anything like that. Like
So you landed back down.
didn't land yet. So essentially, I'm like looking down at my backyard
from above, like
from
in the
above,
sky,
from like
you're
300
floating.
feet. It feels like really high, but like I could distinctly see my backyard. Like I knew where I was and everything.
Well, you couldn't move
at
your
that
hands in
point.
front
Yeah,
of your
I
face,
was
none
like
of that.
trying to look around, trying to see if like I could move or anything like that. See if it was like a dream where you would like fly if you really wanted to or something like that.
I'm capable of that.
You know what I mean? You can kind of like tell when you're in that trance state, but it didn't feel anything like that. It just felt like not frightening either, like because I'm super claustrophobic. So if I feel like locked in place or anything,
Right,
you know, you get
right.
really antsy and your heart rate goes up. but it wasn't like that. So I'm just locked in place. I'm trying to look for my hands and stuff. And like, I think that's kind of when it happened, when I started turning, like completely looking up at the sky. And like I told Chris before, and I think Ryan, it was just like a distorted image. So like trying to recall it even now. So everything, like I can remember like what the temperature was, like how the ground felt, like everything like this. It was just everything in vivid detail, except for when I flipped over, it just looked in the sky like almost if you're tripping acid or something.
Right.
Like
right.
super crazy distortions and like waviness to
Your
the
eyes
sky.
couldn't lock onto
But
onto any one
around
thing.
the other, like, and it didn't look specifically like a spaceship or anything like that. You know what I mean? Like, this is kind of me later on in life, like, kind of associating it with, like, it just seems like an alien occurrence or something like that. But it was just a distortion in the sky, and then everything, like, around the distortion was completely clear. Like, it wasn't distorted or anything like that.
That's freaking weird, man.
So how do you know? it was
See-through,
aliens?
though?
Did you see them?
No, nothing like that. Like,
he's thinking it's aliens after the fact nowadays.
and
Now.
what even
So
I
like
was
trying
talking
to
to my
add
mom.
it up and figure out.
Yeah, it's like,
I got
and
this,
even
this,
then
this,
I was
this.
skeptical, but like, so what happened at that point? You see that I saw the distortion, and it just felt like I could feel me falling, but in a way that like I felt how far I was from the ground, if that makes sense. Like my sensation was like as soon as I started floating downwards, it felt like I could tell like, okay, I was this far,
Right.
even though I couldn't flip over
And
anything.
you were
I still
facing the
couldn't
sky
see.
at that point.
Yeah, I was still facing the sky. Couldn't see anything, and it's like it's weird to talk about too. Like because, like you can't attribute that feeling. Like the only thing I could say is like, have you guys ever been in like a salt tank with like where
Like
your
a
sensory deprivation
No,
tank or
I-
anything like that?
No.
I dreamed. to
Try
be in
that.
one.
That is the exact feeling it feels like
I do
that
wanna try that.
when I was floating down.
I would like
The
to try
whole
that too.
experience being in the sky, not seeing any of my body parts, like, but still being able to move my eyes, obviously, and like I don't recall me like saying anything or like screaming out because it wasn't like frightening, like I said, but it was just odd,
Right.
very odd,
Right.
feeling like I wasn't supposed to be witnessing or like present for that, like what was going on. So I go down, I'm getting lowered down, and I feel the ground getting closer and closer. And it's weird because as soon as I like get to touch like the first like leaf of one of these plants in the backyard, the lamb's ears. So if you know what I'm talking about, they look like a lamb's ear pretty much, and they're like soft and fluffy. As soon as I feel that, I kind of black out, but then snap back instantly, it feels like. And I'm waking up in my backyard as like an 8 or 9-year-old. Just kind of like in a dumbfounded state at that point.
Holy
But still
shit.
wasn't feeling like scared or anything, like, but wasn't feeling sedated either. But just like in that dazed state, it kind of felt like how it was before when I was floating, where it's like I didn't feel like I was supposed to be like present for this, or like something was off. Like I had that sense. But so as soon as like I kind of came to and like was just like, what the fuck is going on? It was like 6 a.m, and the only reason I know that is because when I finally got let in, like I obviously looked and shit and was confused. But going back to getting let in, I'm obviously in the backyard, confused as fuck. Like,
Right. Like, how did I get out of here?
like I know about sleepwalking
So-
and shit as
so
a
you-
kid. You
so
know,
you
I've heard about
Yeah.
that, but like my parents have said, that's never been a thing. I've never once like slept walk.
That's
So-
so fucking bizarre.
It's just all these things are running through my head and stuff, but like at the same time I'm just like, okay, I'm just trying to discredit it, you know,
Right.
even as a kid, because like I said, I wasn't like one of
Just
those
trying
kids
to
who was like
explain it.
Yeah, it's natural.
ghosts,
when you don't
ghouls,
understand something.
aliens, like all this crap, you know what I mean? Like I didn't feed into any of that. So I get to my back door and I try to open it.
What is up, guys? You just heard a clip from next week's episode, and what the fuck? It was crazy.
There's
If
gonna
you-
be some crazy shit going down. Stay tuned.
Make
for
sure
the
you
next
listen to it.
episodes.
Find out for yourself. Decide what you think.
Let us know.
Let us know in the comments when you hear the episode what you fucking think. You don't want to miss it. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the motherfucking notification bell so Chris's balls will tingle. And Under the House. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Or day. Whatever the fuck time it is. See ya.